tea in a really big mug. It's the same tea I was drinking on Monday and Wednesday. So, today's video. So I finished the talking lecture videos last week, and when I first started doing those videos, at least when I had the idea for those videos, I started doing a course on Beowulf. So what I did was I asked ChatGPT, because I asked ChatGPT a lot of things, to give me a high school level curriculum for Beowulf. And it gave me a 5-week course, which I did. And this is part of that. I'm currently on the advanced level curriculum. I will then be transitioning to the scholar level curriculum. And then after that, the doctoral level curriculum, which I think is 5 years. I will try to do it in less time. Why is Grendel so terrifying? And again, reading rather than memorizing, because brain stuff. Why is Grendel so terrifying? Well, he plays on our natural fears of the unknown and the things that lurk in the darkness. The thing under the bed, the shadow in the corner of your eye, the sound of footsteps when no one else is home. In the 8th century, those fears weren't just stories, they were real, and nothing embodied them more than Grendel. We are talking about, again, we can assume this thing was written in the 6th century. And of course there were no lights, so you couldn't just walk into a room and turn a light on. You had to use fire, which, let's face it, fire doesn't produce that much light by comparison to our 60-watt bulbs. And when you look out your window, you don't have an entire street illuminated by street lamps. You have just pure darkness. And so you would fear what was out there, especially with all the noises, all the animals moving around and whatnot. Anyway, in the 8th century, these fears weren't just stories, they were real, and nothing embodied them more than Grendel. Imagine this: a great hall filled with warriors, feasting, drinking, celebrating, and minstrel sings of creation, of Genesis. But outside, something is watching, something hungry, something is coming. Now, this is pretty much how it goes in the poem itself. A minstrel starts singing about Genesis. In some write-ups of this, we hear that Grendel is literally just tormented by these biblical songs more than anything else, but I think it has more to do with people having fun. He's a bit of a, party pooper. Grendel was the ultimate nightmare, a creature of the fens and the marshes, hidden just behind the horizon, waiting in the shadows, and then he strikes. He is that creature in the closet, the monster under the bed, all that kind of stuff. He is that thing that we fear as children. And I guess that as we get older and we get smarter, especially nowadays, we understand what fiction is. We understand more about fiction and what is real and what isn't than these people did back in the 6th century. I mean, I imagine there wasn't a hell of a lot of fiction around there. A lot of stories, maybe. But the level of fiction and understanding we have nowadays of this level of fiction is ridiculous. And especially if you are constantly being berated with biblical verses, you probably do believe that these things exist, especially in the fact that the poem says that he is a descendant of Cain. And so, yeah, you would probably believe that these things actually do exist if you think the Bible is real. And yada, yada, yada. How does Beowulf describe him? Different translations paint a chilling picture. Tolkien says the fierce spirit abode in the darkness. Heaney, a prowler through the dark. Shippy, the ill-fated hunter of the marshes. I actually have another one up here somewhere, which I'm going to just grab because it's from William Morris. And I really love the way William Morris puts his stuff. I've actually made a video about how much I hated this translation. I've grown to love it since then because I've actually had to look at it properly. So lived an all unhappy host of kingsmen in game and in glee until one waited began. A fiend out of hell pits, the framed of evil. Or the framing of evil, sorry. But I just love the way he puts that stuff. It's fantastic. I genuinely fucking love it. Anyway, Grendel isn't just a monster, he is suffering, a creature of pain, being cursed to live in exile, descended from Cain, the first murderer. And we do get the impression, well, I say we get the impression, we're literally told that he is always in constant pain. In the 2007 Robert Zemeckis animated version of this storytelling, which after the fight with Grendel, it kind of takes a trip down another road. We see that Grendel was actually self-harming himself. So, am I allowed to say self-harming on YouTube? Will I get demonetized? I'm not even monetized, so who cares, right? Anywho, we feel what lurks in the dark. We still feel the chill of something just beyond our sight. Oh yeah. So I saw Nightmare on Elm Street, the original Nightmare on Elm Street, when I was 10 years old. Couldn't sleep for quite some time, given that Freddy Krueger. Yeah. On top of that, like Jaws, right? Even though that film came out and it was a PG-rated parental guidance movie, I would always lift my feet off the couch when watching it because I swore that a shark would come up through my floor. And turning the light off to go to bed at night meant that I had to switch the light off and then jump across my room because I knew for a fact that once that light was off, my floor would turn into an ocean, I'd sink and I'd be eaten by a shark. I knew that would happen. And this is what I mean. These kind of fears are the kind of fears that you have when you're a kid, and for simple things that you know are fictional, but you can't get them out of your head. And this is how Grendel would have affected these people. But then I say, yeah, that was the late 20th century. Imagine living in the 8th century, no electricity, no internet, no way to know what was real and what wasn't. Imagine sitting in a hall hearing the story by candlelight, knowing out there in the darkness something might be watching or lurking under your floor ready to eat you. Grendel is that thing we've always feared, the monster in the closet, lurking in the darkness, watching us from the shadows. That thing that we can't identify just in the corner of our eye. That creak in the floorboards. The shadow in the candlelight. You know, that's what he represents to me. The nightmare that doesn't end when you wake up. That's a good line. Sometimes I write really good lines. Most of the time I don't, but you know. Anyway, that's my write-up on what I think about Grendel, and why I think he is terrifying. I'm gonna go now, because I've got other things to do with my time. I like making these videos though, they're fun.